Does it not have a memory card in it? Why won't this turn on? Why isn't that... Is this gonna fall off? Oh my god. Are you kidding me? Nothing works the way it's supposed to. This week we're talking about stress. Roll the fucking intro.
Don't stay awake for too long. Don't go to bed. I'll make a cup of coffee for your head. I'll get you up and going out of bed.
Yeah, I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future cause I'll never see those days. I don't know why this has happened, but I probably deserve it. I tried to do my best.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the 4th episode of Coffee with Hoffie. Today, we're talking about stress, man. What's stressing you out? You might be thinking, what is stress, right? Also, why am I alive? I was never asked to be born. These are all good thoughts. If you watched any of the other episodes, you know I kind of I like to give a little scientific background on whatever we're talking about. Last week was talking about drugs. We talked about its impact on the body, historical use, stuff like that. In this pandemic, people seem to be stressed out, seems to be falling into 5 categories that I could find. Career, money is a big one. Self-imposed stress, so like people started projects and they're not sure if they're going to be able to finish them, and they're putting all this stress on themselves. Focus or lack thereof, whether or not they can be productive, and a lot of people in my field are having a lack of creativity. They have all this time and they just can't come up with new ideas for some reason. And then I had a bunch of funny responses, so I will read those to you too. But I like doing that. I like talking about or reading people's answers on the show because I think a lot of times it shows that we're going through the same stuff. And a lot of times the people who think that they're alone in something, you know, they're really not. So, is this going to fall off? Speaking of stress. Come on, man. Does nothing work ever? Oh, that's disappointing. I spent so much time fighting with this. Okay. And we're back. Okay. Nothing works the way it's supposed to. It's one of the things that's stressing me out, if anybody was wondering. Okay. So, stress. Well, there is a biological reason for stress, and most people know the fight or flight response. So, something is happening that is threatening your safety, homeostasis, your survival, and your body reacts. And they're like, oh no, we need to suppress the immune system. We need to metabolize sugar faster. We need to be able to run or get out of here. And that kind of stress makes a lot of sense. But day to day, mostly we're not dealing with that kind of stress. Also, that kind of stress is the least dangerous from the information that I could find. You know, something bad happens, you respond to it, it's supposed to be over. Most of us are not affected by this acute form of stress. We have chronic stress, which is terrible for your body, it turns out. But I'm just going to read the different types of stress real quick. So the acute time-limited stressors, that's the first thing I was talking about. That's like, let's say a small earthquake where, you know, it's like a tremor. It's really scary. You think it might be a big earthquake, and then all of a sudden it passes, and you're like, okay, I'm all right. It's like, you know, you get all stressed for a second, and then it goes away. And then the problem ceases. And then there's brief naturalistic stressors, stressful event sequences, chronic stressors, and distant stressors. So the first one, acute, we talked about. And then brief naturalistic stressors, those things that are like, they stress you out, but they happen all the time. You know, it's common, so it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. What would be a good example of that? I would say, like, I don't know, driving stresses some people out, but it's just something that you got to do, you know, and you just kind of deal with it. That might be a bad example. I have no idea. I think these are supposed to be natural examples, but I don't think gazelles are driving cars or anything. Okay, yeah, so the next one, the stress that even though the situation is over, that would be like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of stress in the wild. Maybe like migration or something? I don't know. That's a bad example, but whatever. Stress continues into the future. And then there's long-term stressors, chronic stress, which is, I think, the thing that we worry about, or the thing that impacts us the most. So that's like stress at your job. You keep going back to your job. You keep being stressed out. You're constantly worried about it. I think that that's why I'm a comedian, even though there's a lot of stress involved with that job as far as getting up on stage and how am I going to make money. And I've been doing this for like 10 years. And what did I do with my life? And oh my God, having panic attacks. I'm not making a very good case for it. But what I'm saying is, I don't have anyone breathing down my neck. I'm not stressed out all the time, like whether or not I'm going to get fired. I'm not worried about, getting my spreadsheets in and stuff. So, and at least most of the stress that I'm putting on myself is self-imposed. So, like, you can probably tell there wasn't an episode last week. I just knew I didn't have it in me, man. I was super stressed out, panicked about a lot of stuff. And I actually went to the poppy fields and had a nice little day out last Sunday instead of recording an episode. Also, I was like, no one's asking me to do this podcast. Like, people are supporting it, which is amazing. And, I'm so thankful for everybody who watches or comments or sends in answers. But no one's just like, hey, man, I really need that episode to come out Sunday. And maybe I could justify the stress if even one person was saying that. But it doesn't make any sense that I'm getting so stressed out about it. Like, if one person was like, man, I really need that episode, I would be like, oh, man, Stuart is really counting on me. But that doesn't happen. So I don't know what I'm so worried about. Anyways. Okay. And then there's distance stressors, right? And I don't know what it's like in the animal kingdom if, falcons worry about the existential existence or whether there's life after death. But humans definitely worry about future events. And most of the shit that we worry about doesn't even end up happening. So, yeah. But the whole point of stress is your body wants to stay in an equilibrium and a homeostasis. And if there's, your body wants to keep you alive. So if something's happening, there's a stress response to try and deal with that situation, and then it's supposed to go away. And that's the problem with chronic stress, is that all of these problems that we have are because we're constantly stressed out, and it's just not going away. Bless you. Was that a sneeze? Oh, that's Kyle sneezing. I didn't realize this, but apparently, I don't know, this is from Wikipedia, but it says that chronic stress can lead to a common risk factor for several mental illnesses, like delusions, depression, stuff like that. And I don't know, man. I believe it. I think stress is the number one killer. It leads to everything else. Stress produces the cortisol hormone, which is just wreaks havoc on your body. And like I said, it's supposed to get you out of a life and death situation. So it makes sense that, the way that your body metabolizes proteins, fats, it's how it suppresses your immune system. It decreases bone formation. It's taking blood, like, that you would use for critical thinking and stuff, and just sending that into your muscles. It's basically only worried about survival at that point. But in today's society, we have these increased levels of cortisol because we're stressed out all the time, and it is just no bueno, guys. I'm telling you. But anyways, I want to hear from you. So I asked all my friends on social media, what is stressing you out right now? And like I said, a lot of the answers were similar, but these were some of them. So Alex Moran said, no income. It's a blast. I feel like hairstylists should be essential. Well, you're getting your wish. I mean, there's plenty of middle-aged white women who are trying to beat up cops in different places because they want their hair salons back open. But I do understand, this is crazy, the impact that it's having on small businesses. That must be so stressful, or for people who work for themselves. If you can't go out and make money, what do you do? So I also think it's interesting that these airlines are failing after a couple months, even though they make millions of dollars and their CEOs make millions of dollars. And then, they look at us as individuals and be like, wow, you should have savings to last a couple months. Like, these businesses couldn't even stay open for 2 weeks. So whatever. Okay, Sophia Corinne says, unemployment benefits, going back to work on 5/1. I'm actually not sure if that happened. Did that happen? I'll have to check in with her. Sadness, fear, uncertainty, apathy. That was a lot in one. But yeah, the unemployment benefits, there's a couple people worried about that and worried about their stimulus checks and stuff like that. Okay, the next one is from Grace. Schoolwork, it's going fine, but switching gears from work at the same desk is hard. Yeah, and that leads into what a bunch of other people are saying about trying to stay focused right now. It's almost impossible. Okay, next one's from Kat, and she says that my job may never fully return. I hear that. Times they are changing. Even if we do go back to work, is it going to be limited capacity? Will it be the same? No one really has any idea. So, yeah, I can see why that would be stressful. Next one's from Elena. Not receiving a stimulus check and filing for unemployment with little financial reward. It sucks, man. You know, at least in other situations, you can kind of be like, you know, you lose your job, you can go out and hustle and make money some other way, but it's just hard right now when there's really nothing you can do. So I totally understand that. Max, Mr. Kestenbaum says, not doing comedy, the thing I love and have dedicated my life to, is literally gone. Yeah, bro. I know that feel. I'm about to be 10 years in. 10 years ago was my first open mic, and I moved all the way across the country, dedicated my life to this, and I can't even go out and do stand-up. It is such a weird thing to try and pivot now and become a TikTok star. How's it going? Not well, for anyone who's wondering. I'm way too old for that app. They don't want anyone that looks like me on there. All wrinkled and whatnot. All right. Next one's from Morgan. Morgan says, all the uncertainty with starting veterinary school in the fall, moving, online classes, etc., etc. Yeah, you definitely have a lot going on. School, work, all of that stuff is up in the air. So yeah, the uncertainty really is a big thing for people, for sure. Okay, what else do we got here? Some of that self-imposed stress that I was talking about that I do to myself. Let's see, Rosie had something to say about that. Where are you? Where are you, Rosie? Come on, baby. Yeah, Rosie says, anxiety, like, is this shit only in my head, or is it? I think you're trying to ask if you're the only one that's experiencing this, and you're absolutely not. Yeah, anxiety is the worst, and it's only getting worse for people. And at the end, if you've seen these episodes, I kind of try and offer a little way to alleviate whatever the topic is, or help with it. And I found a really good thread that's talking about stress, how it relates to everything that's going on right now. And so hang tight. I will tell you how one person is dealing with this stuff, and also an explanation of why you might be feeling that way, which sometimes just having knowledge over what's going on is the first step in trying to fight it, you know? Okay, and then Hannah, painting this goddamn apartment. Yeah, Hannah's doing all of this restoration and rehab project, and I mean, it's a good time if you're stuck inside to do that kind of stuff, but it definitely is stressful and definitely self-imposed. I don't know why you're doing that to yourself. And then Ciara Mendoza said this yard work. So Ciara's doing the same thing, just completely redoing her backyard. Which, good for you if you can get stuff done right now. I'm not really having the same luck. Yeah. Also, shout out to Ciara for sponsoring this episode. I feel kind of weird asking people for donations and stuff, but it's amazing that people actually donate and sponsor episodes and send money through Venmo and all that. I don't know. It's just so heartwarming that my friends would want to support me. And, sometimes people I've never met. And it's just really cool. So I really appreciate that. Ciara, you are the OG of the Coffee with Hoffie podcast, and I appreciate you. Oh, yeah. A couple people said they were in a lot of pain, too. And I think that makes sense because I've been going through that, like pain in my lower back and hips. My friend Lee said that, and also my friend Yvonne. Dealing with pain, and I think that makes sense too because there's just so much downtime right now, just not moving around enough, or I'm not trying to speculate of why other people have pain, but at least for me, I just haven't, all the time sitting around, laying around, being stuck inside is definitely not good for people who suffer from chronic pain. You know what I'm saying? All right. This next category, the lack of focus, creativity, and productivity, this is definitely the one that's impacted me the most, I think, because I thought, hey, this will be great. I got all this time. I'll write my scripts. I'll work on my comedy and everything, and it's just kind of been so hard to be creative right now. And, yeah, so let's see what you guys had to say about that. First one is from Selena. Where you at, girl? So Selena says, how to optimize my Rona-free time for all of the things I want to do. Dang, ADHD is distracting. Yeah, mine is acting up hella bad right now. It is crazy how hard it is to focus. But like I said, again, there's reasons for that, and that's related to the stress response. And, man, I want to read you guys that thread right now because it's so good. But let me just get through these answers, and then we will get to that for show. Rebecca Smith says, not feeling like I'm productive enough at work, worrying that they'll catch me or something. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I hope if people have quotas and stuff, it's all changed. Companies expecting their employees to work at the same level of productivity now that they were is just insane. And even if they were, I mean, you get nothing but time right now, so I guess in theory, you could work even harder, but there would have to be some kind of flexible allowance for all the emotional stress that people are under right now, because you can't just keep burning the candle at both ends, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it says, feeling like I'm not spending my time efficiently enough, like I should be doing more. Yes, that is exactly how I feel all the time. It's how I felt before this, but now I feel even more guilty that I'm not getting more stuff done, because it's like all I have is time, right? No, man, it's the stress. It's what it does to your body. It's messing up your head. Yaz is really cool. Yaz is very creative in her own right and doing her own thing. And I don't want to spoil it by going into detail about what she does, but you guys will have a chance to see that Friday. She is taking over my social media. So she'll be in charge of my Instagram stories and stuff like that. And you guys should stay tuned for that, because I think it's going to be a fun little thing. You got to get creative, you know? Got to get creative in this time where nobody knows what the hell is going on. Emma agrees. Lack of focus and motivation. Yeah, the motivation is big too, because the why is almost gone. Anytime you want to get anything done, whether it's daily tasks, fitness goals, work, long-term goals, you always have to remind yourself why you're getting out of bed in the morning. Without that why, it just all seems futile. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why last week I had such a hard time trying to record this podcast, because it almost seems like what's the point? Even if it does really well, even if it's a great episode, everybody enjoys it, whatever. What's the point? Why am I out here? I can't do comedy. Why am I even living in L.A.? You know, and just all the uncertainty, man. It's rough. It weighs on you, even if you're trying to ignore it. It's always in the back of your mind. But on a lighter note, let's talk about some of the fun answers. People up here just being naughty. Brittany Jean, I mean, this probably isn't supposed to be funny, but I said, what is stressing you out? And she said, being alive. And what a concise and succinct answer, because yes, absolutely, being alive is treacherous, especially right now. Crystal says, nothing today, finding peace in the chaos. That's awesome. I definitely wish I could do that. Christine said, my kid. Yeah, I can't imagine having a kid right now. Swaka said, myself. Self-imposed stress. Cat Pat said, family. Yeah, I can't imagine. Can you imagine being quarantined with your family right now? Oh my God, that would be stressful. I can't even take Thanksgiving half the time. Your new Beth friend said that you won't flirt with me. That's what's stressing you out? Well, listen, I'm just, I'm a genie in a bottle, baby. You got to rub me the right way. If you're coming in the DMs to flirt, you better bring it. That's all I'm saying. Kettle One Boston says, if I will maintain my looks into my 40s, because that's kind of my sweet spot for settling down. Now, I know you're being a little bit facetious with this, but I think he is actually worried about it. I'm worried about the same thing. Not so much my looks. Never really had much in the looks department. I was always kind of a, try to be as charming as possible kind of guy. Get the hooks in them that way. As far as settling down, I'm 36. It doesn't really seem like it's gonna happen for me. Like I said before, I don't know if I have a soulmate, but if I do, I feel like this bitch isn't even looking for me. Like, I'm out here. I don't know what you're doing. You need to step your game up. Chef Oscar said that one day one of my boys might say something like, you know what it is, or you know the vibes, but I don't. Yeah, that's stressful. Everybody else gets it except you. It's hard to live like that. So what do we do? What do we do? We're all stressed out. Everybody's stressed, right? Are there any answers? Well, like I said, there was this really great thread, and I want you guys to check this out, because this helped me out a lot. It helps understanding what's going on. So Alexis Rockley did this on Twitter, and then I saw her post on Instagram, but without getting too involved into the science, she just kind of talks about the effects that stress have on you. So she says, let me be clear, a thread. Those all over the place feelings you've been having, those are symptoms of stress, not your personal failures. So first of all, that's great to know, even if you didn't think that in the first place. You don't want to think that there's something wrong with you, that you can't get anything done. Do you feel flaky, inconsistent? That's because your brain doesn't know what news to brace for next and what next month will hold. So that imminent fear is having an effect on your brain, which is kind of crazy. Next, she says tired easily. That's because your brain is burning energy 10 times faster than usual. When you're stressed out, you're burning up your resources, and you're exhausted. Can't seem to focus? We definitely talked about that. That's because your brain has temporarily shut down some functionality in your prefrontal cortex, the part that juggles complex tasks and planning due to the stress response. Yeah, so your body's just trying to survive right now. It's not worried about that book that you were trying to write. Come on. Feeling creatively blocked? Yes, Alexis, that's what I said. That's because your brain has temporarily diverted all its creativity, aka ability to solve novel problems, to how do I avoid dying, while it's in a narrowed, slow burn, fight or flight state. Yeah, so this temporary state that is supposed to be for survival has been stretched out, and our bodies just do not know how to handle it right now. Suddenly don't give a fuck about your future-based goals and projects or dreams like you used to? Yes. That's because your brain knows short-term sighted is a safer way to cope right now. Yeah, you can't be worried about your long-term goals. We're not sure what's going to happen next month. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we have this pandemic. Everybody needs to stay inside. Then it's like, hey, the aliens exist. That's why I got my NASA shirt on right now. It's like, when were you going to tell us that? Also, there's murder hornets. So what's next month? Assault rifle snakes. I've just had it, man. I've had it with 2020. Enough is enough, bro. I'm telling you. Okay. She sums it up by saying your plans, creativity, energy, focus, and motivation are in a yo-yo right now because your brain believes you need to be extremely adaptive. You will not be in this roller coaster forever. Be patient with your brain. Sincerely, a positive psychology certified coach and fellow human. Well, Alexis, thank you so much for that and explaining that to people. I think it's important to know. Knowing why you're going through these things is so important. Just as important as knowing how to treat it. So even though some of these things might be obvious, like are you eating well? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting enough sleep? I know that's hard to do. Breathing techniques, meditation, stuff like that. Even aromatherapy, sometimes just taking a bath. Like I know it seems weird to do all this self-care stuff when you feel guilty for not getting stuff done, but I don't think you're going to be productive again until you reach homeostasis, and that's going to be hard to do when you're so stressed out. So, if you need to put on music and dance it out or take a bath or light some candles or do some aromatherapy or draw, you know what I mean, or color in a coloring book, whatever you need to do to just shut your mind off and de-stress for a little bit, it's definitely going to help your productivity go back up. So try not to be too stressed out, and until next time.
Don't stay awake for too long, don't go to bed. I'll make a cup of coffee for your head. I'll get you up and going out of bed.
Yeah, I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future cause I'll never see those days. I don't